Welcome into the CHGO Bears Podcast, another training camp edition. Adam Hoge and Nicholas Moreano with you. A little late. We apologize for the technical difficulties. The internet's a wild place. You guys know this. Bears Twitter knows this. And quite frankly, we have no idea what happened there.
It's Braggs' fault, obviously.
It's obviously Braggs' fault.
It's something to do with the fact that he lives in Indiana, is my guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know, but here I am now. I guess now I'm doing your show. Thanks, Braggs. Much appreciated for doing nothing. As Doug Van Doren asked in the chat, he said, as a former Comcast over-the-phone tech support representative, I feel qualified to ask, have you turned it off and back on again? Yes, and that's why we're here.
You know, Doug,
it's crazy.
That's funny, but also I still have PTSD from 9,000 people asking me that last week over the phone, so I don't appreciate it. I have to say, this was not an internet issue. 100% not. We're having some weird feedback thing going on. Doesn't matter. Let's jump into the show. We're all good. Yeah. We're here. We're here to break down football. Lawrence is here to save the day. Carm. We could also blame Carm because he's not here at all. There he is. Look at that guy. That guy looks like somebody whose fault this is.
Ashland, like Adam Shaheen? Ashland?
That looks...
that? Oh, my.
That looks like an Adam Shaheen.
That's questionable.
Baseball, softball jersey. I don't. Just what a human being that guy is, Mark Carman.
He was a talk, actually, after you left Hallis Hall, we started talking about Mark Carman and him going to camp, so... He's always the talk of the town wherever he's at, so hope he's having fun.
Yes. All right. Well, we are going to start the show as we normally do. We are in a two-man formation today, which is fine. We're excited to be here. Today's practice ended up being closed to the public. It was one of those that was not fully open to begin with. They were trying to actually, I think, redo the community day, which got canceled the first day of training camp, and then Mother Nature said, nope, we're going to put that on hold again. We're going to have it rain again today. And it's been raining all day, so Bears ended up inside. They were kind of planning a lighter practice today anyway, coming off the game, and these padded practices coming up against the Colts. But Nick and I were there and have it covered for you. We'll start, as always, with our best and worst.
Yeah, my best for today's practice was number 94, Rasheem Green, having just a consistent pass rush throughout the entirety of practice. And the Bears were not in full pads, just shells today, but Rasheem Green has showed up in practices. That's what he's consistently done throughout training camp, and he was with the first string today, opposite side of Yannick Ngakoue, but thought Rasheem Green had a good practice and was in the backfield. My worst, though, happened a lot in the red zone. It was actually between Justin Fields and Darnell Mooney. There were two misconnections on two different plays, one where it looked like Mooney just wasn't even looking for the ball, and Fields threw it. It was an incomplete pass, and then Fields almost got picked by Kyler Gordon. He was throwing from the left hash on an out route and just didn't have enough on it to try to get to Mooney in the front right portion of the pylon. And, Gordon almost made a fantastic play there, but two times Fields and Mooney tried to connect, and usually that's a good connection worth having. Just didn't happen in today's practice.
Yeah, that was part of my worst, one of the plays. By the way, I was just thinking to myself, if you're listening to this as a podcast, you have no idea what we were talking off the top. And so that's Braggs' fault, too, we'll just say. But it's like the podcaster's like, well, everything's fine. What are you talking about? So my best, though, it's a common best. It's one, it keeps happening. And it happened in the game on Saturday, too. And I just want to keep re-emphasizing it because it's such a good thing. DJ Moore is really good at football because, again, today was not a great day for the offense, but despite that, it's like every time they threw it to two, he made a sick catch or was wide open. There was one in the back of the end zone. Great route, great ball from Justin Fields against Tyreek Stevenson. There was one deep right towards the sideline against Jalen Johnson. Doesn't seem to matter who's on DJ Moore. He's just a really good NFL wide receiver. The Bears are really fortunate to have him. What a trade. That's been, at least so far, no regular season games have been played, but just another day where I just walked out of there going, man, DJ Moore, he's the best thing on the field.
And I think it's almost like this team's getting used to those connections happening, because one of the big plays that Fields and Moore connected on, like the offense didn't even celebrate. It's like, oh, there's another deep play to, DJ Moore down the right sideline. Consistent. He's been doing it all training camp. So I think they're almost getting used to the big plays to happen now.
My worst, though, involved more than just the one play you mentioned, the Mooney. It was just that whole sloppy goal line, low red area session that they had. There was a delayed game, which can't happen. The next play was the play I think you were talking about where Mooney was not looking. Eventually, Justin Fields ran it in for a touchdown, which it's hard to tell if on a live rep if that actually would have been a touchdown or not. But then there was another play right after that where Kyler Gordon had a really nice pass breakup on Darnell Mooney, but he was open. It shouldn't have been that close. It's like Justin threw it a little bit too far behind Mooney, I think, or at least from my vantage point, there was enough separation there that you got to find a way to get it over the top of the corner or fit it in there, because it just did not look to me like a pass that should have been broken up with as much separation as Darnell Mooney, and he ran a nice route on that play. So it just that whole sequence there, I just was like, oh, this is not great.
Yeah, and I think you even saw it with the second team as well, with P.J. Walker in as quarterback. Like, the execution just wasn't there, especially in the team drills. Not even when they were in the red zone, but where they had to try to drive down the field. Like, that second team offense trying to move the ball, it just wasn't working with P.J. Walker. He was almost intercepted a couple times. The first play in 7-on-7, he was picked off by Kindle Vildor. So it just wasn't the best overall execution in all three levels: first string, second string, and even third string there.
But on the other side of that is always the defense, right? And it's interesting watching his defensive line. And now that we've had a game under their belts and been able to watch some of the film from that game, starting to get some better vibes, I feel like, with this defensive line. And sometimes all it takes is adding one big player. It's the same thing that happened with the wide receivers, right? You had DJ Moore at the top. Everyone falls down a little bit, and all of a sudden the room looks much better. I'm not saying that, Yannick Ngakoue is to DJ Moore's level as an acquisition, but it's still sort of that same thing where you started to see Yannick incorporated in the team drills today, and then all of a sudden Dominique Robinson, okay, now he's coming off the bench. Terrell Lewis, who's been looking pretty good, he's coming off the bench. And on the opposite side, Rasheem Green, I mean, he was tearing it up at practice today. Granted, no pads, but these were the type of reps that I point to every once in a while, even without pads, where it's just like when a guy beats his guy so cleanly that there's not even much contact, you know that, okay, that was a real rep. And there was one where he just beat Cole Kmet to the inside so fast that he was it Roshan Johnson?
I think it was Khalil Herbert who would end up in the backfield.
Okay, whichever the running back was, Green just kind of ran him over accidentally. Like everybody sort of for a second was like, hey, you're not supposed to, there's no pads on, there shouldn't be any, but it was legitimately accidental because he just won the rep so fast that he just, there's the running back, and that's how quick the play happened. So he continues to look good, Green. When Yannick Ngakoue is out there, all of a sudden you're like, maybe there's a little bit more juice here than maybe we thought from the defensive ends. And then I've been very vocal about how much I like the depth of the interior of the line now that they have the two rookies there. So I'm not saying it's going to be a strength of the team by any means, but it's starting to come around a little bit to give you a little bit more optimism about that D-line.
It could be a pleasant surprise, Adam, with all the additions that they have. And, you saw Andrew Billings, who I think would have gotten credit with a sack today on Justin Fields, and he got back there. Zach Pickens batted down a pass at the line of scrimmage in today's practice. Dominique Robinson, is flash. And even if you go to the preseason game, Dom Rob set up Zach Pickens to get his sack. So I think you're seeing they always talk about 4 as 1 with this defensive line, and there's going to be so many different rotations. They're doing all this too without DeMarcus Walker right now. So I think that when you look at all the guys they have there, they all have individual skill sets, and they're starting to work together with one another. And it's really encouraging to see, because there was a lot of doubt about this defensive line going into this season. But maybe, like you said, Adam, adding the one guy at the top puts everyone down a little bit. And now you're seeing guys like Travis Gibson play, with his head on fire. He did it in the preseason game. So you're starting to see more individuals step their game up, and I think that's a really good thing for the Bears defense.
You always have to be careful about preseason results. Most preseason games are completely forgotten for good reason. But every once in a while, there's something that, you at least got to acknowledge it, that it happened. And for the Bears to have 8 sacks on Saturday, like something was going right there, whether it's scheme or just the players involved. It was nice to see all those rookies on the inside make some type of splash play throughout the course of the game. By the way, Javon Dexter's okay. I know there's some concern about him because he was limping around in the middle part of that game. And I was pretty confident that it was just some type of thigh bruise, and I'm guessing that's what it was. He was back at practice today, no problem. So that's encouraging. I just 8 sacks is something to me. Again, maybe we'll never remember that it ever happened because it was a preseason performance, but it's certainly better than the alternative, right? Where you're sitting here, they haven't signed Yannick Ngakoue, the guys they did sign. Just look at Rasheem Green and Terrell Lewis. These are guys that were former, somewhat highly thought of draft picks. They're both third rounders, right?
I believe so.
Green is a third rounder, and that's what I think Lewis was. Yeah. They come from Green came from USC, Lewis came from Alabama. So they're players with pedigree that just for whatever reason haven't stuck where they're at. And in Lewis's case, a lot of it's injury. But it's not like they're just complete bums that were picked up just to fill out this roster. They're in some ways more like reclamation projects, and if you can hit on one of them, your depth at the position's a lot better.
No, absolutely. And like we have a comment right here, scheme looks with stunts and twists. So you did see that, but when you look at the edge rushers in Travis Gibson, Terrell Lewis, those are guys just winning one-on-one matchups. They're getting around the edge, being able to show that bend and get upfield and get the quarterback. And so I think that's really, again, encouraging to see, especially for a guy like Gibson. He did face a lot of double teams last season, and when he got his chance to go one-on-ones, he had about 5 or 6 hurries in that preseason game. So it's good seeing just individual players develop a little bit and show that. I think, Travis Smith's obviously the defensive line coach, a big part of the reason why you're seeing maybe some of these guys on the lower end raise up their level of game. But it's good to see that from this group, and hopefully it continues throughout the preseason. They got 2 more opportunities, and I think the Bears are going to have a tough decision, Adam. Like, how many defensive ends do you or defensive linemen do you keep on this roster? Even if you just look at the edge position, like it's kind of a tough, it's difficult to gauge right now at this moment.
Well, that's exactly why I wanted to have this conversation today, because like that was one of the realizations I was having in practice. For the first time, I'm going, there's going to be a tough cut here, because Travis Gibson looked like he was maybe the odd man out, and for him to play that well on Saturday, and then Rasheem Green comes back and has this awesome practice today. What? I guess you could go 5 deep at that position.
So you got Yannick, you got DeMarcus Walker. We're gonna are we penciling in Dominique Robinson?
Yeah, probably. I don't think he's going anywhere.
No, and then if Rasheem Green's number 4, then gosh, man, that does become a very difficult conversation to have. But we got to see who steps up and continues.
And we keep reading DeMarcus Walker because he hasn't been out there.
Yeah, I know, and hopefully he gets out there soon. But like these next 2 preseason games, these joint practices are, I think, going to be huge for those those guys that are looking to really solidify themselves on the 53-man roster. But it's a good problem to have, because it seemed like the Bears didn't have enough guys that they can actually put out there that can be productive.
Yeah, and Isaiah Collins in the chat saying tough cuts means that we actually have a little bit of depth. I guess that's what I'm getting at. And I haven't necessarily felt that until now. So this is what you call, at least in my opinion, like a productive training camp, where you're having legitimate competition, bring out the best in some guys. And I would guess right now that Alan Williams, Matt Eberflus, Ryan Poles feel a lot better about their defensive line now than they did even a few weeks ago.
No doubt. And I think what it's going to come down to, I mean, if I'm, a coach looking at this, like who could play the run and also be able to get to the quarterback the best, because we've seen the flashes of getting after the quarterback, but there were running backs getting to the outside edge in that preseason game. So whether it's Green or if it's Gibson or whoever it may be, or Lewis, who can contain that edge the best and play, be a good run defender as well, in addition to being able to rush the passer. That's who I think is going to end up making this. So lots of proof for those guys that are trying to make this roster.
Yeah, and then behind the defensive line, we haven't heard a lot about what's going on with Tremaine Edmonds. Matt Eberflus maintaining today, not going to give you anything on injuries. So instead I asked, all right, what has he been able to do while he's been out? And I thought the answer was somewhat comforting, because whatever's going on there, we don't really know the answer to that. Tremaine Edmonds has been able to participate in all the walkthroughs, Matt Eberflus said. So whether it's the morning walkthroughs before practice, the nightly walkthroughs, usually towards the end of day at training camp, which are pretty standard, he's been out there, because that's just a position that I start to worry a little bit about the chemistry aspect of it, right? Like he's the signal caller on defense. He's the guy that, and we've been seeing Jack Sanborn do that with Tremaine Edmonds out, playing that Mike instead. And that's another area where I think the Bears really do have some legitimate depth. We talked about this last week, potentially four starting linebackers in what's really 2.5 spots, because you're nickel so much. So it's good competition. It's good depth to have. It certainly doesn't hurt when, the backup needs to come in and handle those responsibilities, because they're going to be that much better at it if it comes to that in the regular season. And I don't really have much doubt that Tremaine Edmonds is going to come out there and be just fine, but it is nice to hear that whatever's going on there, he's in all the meetings, he's in all the walkthroughs, he's getting those at least mental reps and some of those walkthrough reps, so that whenever he comes back, and maybe he doesn't play in the preseason at all, that the defense won't skip a beat.
Yeah, it makes it easier when you do have guys like Jack Sanborn and Noah Sewell who are playing, pretty well at their respective positions. Like even in today's practice, Noah Sewell almost picked off Justin Fields. It was a tight window throw from Fields, and I think it was over to Moore on the left side, but Sewell's right there, and he came off to the sideline talking to his position coach right after that, but he was in a good position. Jack Sanborn had a pass breakup on third down that was intended for Cole Kmet, so you're seeing him make plays. But it's good that even though Tremaine is missing this time, you do have some guys that are going out there making plays. And let me just tell you this, Adam, we've all talked about how big Tremaine Edmonds is. When I was leaving the locker room on Saturday, and obviously he wasn't in pads, like actually being right up close next to the dude, I could not have felt like a smaller human being, and I'm already not the tallest guy. So it was just crazy to even see how big he is. So when he does get on full pads, is out there, absolute force that he can bring out to the football field.
Let's go to some super chats here. I know there's already a few that have popped in. We appreciate everybody being here with us today and sticking with us towards the little bumpy start here. But Logan, $5 saying, if nothing, this team is fast. These guys are hustling more than I've seen in a long time. Yeah, Logan, look, they want to be faster, stronger, longer, right? I mean, and I think we're starting to see that here in year two. At times last year, you saw at least the effort, I think, was popping through. But defensively, especially once the injuries and the trades all started to add up late in the year, like the talent just wasn't there. But now you add a bunch of new guys and who are talented, who are longer, who are more athletic, to go along with the hits principle that they're all playing with. I think I'm a little confused, honestly, about, how good this defense is right now. And I don't think we're necessarily going to know until the regular season starts. I've been cautiously optimistic about a lot of this, and then they come out in that first drive against the Titans and can't get a stop to save their lives. But they did have a lot of key players who were out too in that moment. I remain bullish on the defense, but I'm not entirely sure we're going to know for sure, until the actual games get played.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, they were missing, obviously, DeMarcus Walker, Yannick Ngakoue, Tremaine Edmonds, Jaquan Brisker. So,
yeah,
guys at all three levels there. So, it's going to be tough. But I think, too, when I talked to Kyler Gordon in the locker room afterwards, big reason why he was getting those big hits, he predicates it to the defense and what Flus wants to see, like running to the football. He's a backside defender on that first play where he just absolutely knocks somebody out. So, I think they're really buying into this. And you're seeing some of the, the big plays kind of happen on the field afterwards.
I mean, he knocked 2 balls out the first series of the game. And that type of effort is going to be contagious. And I mean, to me, takeaways end up being contagious in the same way hitting can be contagious in baseball. Like, you start to just get that competition going, the confidence, and it's always like, who's going to get the next one? And then, like, in the Lovie Smith days, it was who's going to score the touchdowns once they get the ball. And then that's sort of the next step. So I think they are on that way. I think it's a great super chat, just pointing out how fast they are. They're playing faster. They're more athletic. They're longer. I mean, just even when Jaquan Brisker's not practicing, like, there's a tall-ass safety.
Like tall, physical safety, yes.
Like, he's a big dude. So, and he's got long levers, too. So, I think it can be an exciting group. That's for sure. Let's get to a couple more supers here before we take our first break. Low 6, $4.99. Shout out to Nick for the sweet limited edition Bears hoodie raffle.
Yeah, I got that back in, I think, 2018, 2019, but it's a limited edition Bears hoodie. That's Chema Scandal is the Hispanic artist who inspired it, but something that was just collecting dust in my parents' house. Completely forgot I had it. I know Bears fans, would use that a lot more than I would. So definitely go check out just my Twitter, and you can see how you can get it.
Yeah, that's really cool, and we'll save Eric's super chat for the next segment because that's going to be our next topic. But we could take Ruben's here. Ruben C99, $5. Have you seen the video the Bears put out today about the hometown players? If not, I recommend watching it. Great idea from the social media team. Haven't seen it yet. We've been busy with practice, but looking forward to watching that, and we'll check it out and maybe bring it to tomorrow's show if we have any reaction that we're talking about. So, but appreciate you mentioning it. All right, time to thank our first sponsor of today's show on this Monday, and that is Factor. We love Factor, and now that we're in the thick of summer, for us, the thick of training camp, I know we're looking for wholesome, convenient meals to support our sunny, active days. You probably are too. And Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up fast with flavorful and nutritious ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track reaching your goals. If you're too busy with your summer plans to cook, I know I am, but you still want to make sure you're eating well, right? With Factor, you could skip the extra trip to the grocery store and the chopping, the prepping, cleaning up. That's the worst part, the cleaning up. Drives me crazy. But you still get the flavor and the nutritional quality you need. That's where Factor comes in. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are ready in just 2 minutes. So all you have to do is heat and enjoy, then get back outside, soak up the warm weather. If you need an extra boost to support your wellness goals this summer, try Protein Plus meals with 30 grams of protein or more per serving. They all got all kinds of options like that. Head to factormeals.com/CHGO Bears 50. So that's CHGO Bears 50 on the code. Again, that's factormeals.com/CHGO Bears 50. Use code CHGO Bears 50 to get 50% off. And again, that's code CHGO Bears 50 at factormeals.com. Go check it out.
Yeah, go check out Factor Meals, you guys. And you have to check out FOCO. Get fitted out in the best sports gear around. You can get your hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, and literally everything in between. Obviously, it's summertime. Baseball season is here. You got your Aloha shirts, straw hats, polos, bags, everything you need to be ready for a game. And of course, if you watch the CHGO Bears show or any of our CHGO shows, you see the set decorations. Foco has donated a few awesome pieces for our sets. Go show them some love. And you can do that by going to foco.com or click the link in the description below for all non-presale items. Use the promo code CHGO for 10% off.
All right. We might have Braggs jumping in here soon. Just checking on that real quick.
Hey, wait, real quick. Did you guys address that third super chat? I was being bothered here at the office. I didn't. Did you guys talk about the Bears video? This one?
Yeah, we did it. We did it. We just haven't seen it, so we're gonna check it out after the show.
Thanks, Ruben. Appreciate you.
Yeah, it's all good. But yeah, Lawrence, see if Braggs can jump on here quickly.
All right.
But in the meantime, let's look at Eric's super chat.
Yeah. Okay.
He asks, what is the deal with Nate Davis? I heard some rumblings. He's not a practice guy. Then the weird presser today. Presser today was a little weird. We're going to get into that. But, this practice stuff, I think that's sort of just speculation based on the fact that he hasn't really practiced since he got here. Just a handful of practices, 0 padded practices. Whenever he practices for the first time in pads, if that's this week in Indy, then that'll be his first practice with pads on since he became a Bear back in March. And yeah, I honestly don't know what to make of this situation. I thought it was not the end of the world, but definitely somewhat odd that you skip OTAs on a new team. That's just not.
Sends a weird message to me. I don't know.
Again, it's voluntary.
True.
They're allowed to do that. I fully support that. But if you just look at the history of free agents that have signed with a new team, they usually show up to get acclimated to their new team. And then in year 2, if they want to skip them, whatever. Like even Aaron Rodgers went to Jets OTAs this year after he got moved over there. So again, not the end of the world, but that was sort of the first thing. Then training camp starts, he practices a little, and then he's out. He comes back for one day, he goes out. And then, again, I'm not even going to make a big deal out of today. It's fine. But typically you come back from injury, you do a press conference, you kind of just sort of explain what's going on. And he just, every question, including questions that really weren't that invasive about the injury, he was just like, you got to talk to the coaches and trainers about that.
Respectfully.
You
have to do that. And you know what? Look, we don't know what Nate Davis is going through, whether it's injury, personal things back home. Have no idea, but it just, I think every time he doesn't practice, even after today's press conference, I think it just creates more questions about Nate Davis and what he can do for this football team. Obviously, he says the scheme's one of the reasons why he came here, his ability to move out in space, play physical, things that he can add to his football team, but he does need to get on the practice field at some point. And, obviously I think the best intention is for him to be completely healthy and to be out there when he can, but there's just a bunch of questions with Nate Davis, and we didn't get much clarification after today's 7-minute press conference.
Yeah. And he acknowledged that let me make sure I have the right, I had to close everything earlier. So, how did he phrase it? I just want to make sure I get it right, that it was a little tough being out.
Yeah, yes, obviously it's a little tough on me. I'd rather be out there, but it is what it is. It's not the easiest thing. Was the first question of how his summer has been going, not practicing, and how it's been.
But then he just said, respectfully, I just want to move forward. I'm back now. That's all that really matters. So, I don't know. A little bit just seemed a little cryptic, but I can jive with him on that last part. You're back now. But, yeah. But then that's where Grody followed up with I thought a good question. It's like, okay, you're back now, so we can expect to see you practicing pads on and everything. And he was like, well, that's up to the coaches and trainers.
And that was a default answer for a lot of questions there.
And again, Nate Davis back at practice today, but did not do team drills. And so and by the way, I'm totally cool with vets that you reach a certain point in the NFL, you know what you're doing. If you don't practice, you don't play in the preseason, but you're there week 1 and you play well, more power to you, man. Got no problem with that at all. I still think about Robert Quinn last year grinding it out in training camp.
Yeah,
he was out there in pads. He was, and Eddie Jackson's doing that right now. Like Eddie Jackson has been a workhorse the last 2 years. He's been out there in training camp every day grinding. I think he missed one practice this year for a personal matter, but but again, if you show up and you ball out when the season starts, no problem. But again, new team, system similar, which he touched on today. So there is some carryover from Tennessee, I think. But the other angle to this that's interesting to me is that Ja'Tyre Carter's been playing pretty well.
Yeah, he has. He's filled in nicely at that position. He's making the most of his opportunities. I'll say this, like, if his teammates don't have, like, obviously if he physically can't practice, that's one thing, but if he's just not practicing because of what we were just talking about and his teammates are okay with that, then, then I guess we can't say much more on it, right? But I just want to see Nate Davis out there with the starting unit. I think that's fair to ask. Like, you want to see what it looks like with all 5 starters out there, how that unit meshes. And he was asked about playing alongside a rookie, and he actually did that in Tennessee, and he didn't say that was a big issue, but still, you just want to see it, all 5 guys, and see how it can all, play out on the football field.
All right, I think we have Braggs coming in for a quick moment here to join the show. Maybe he's not ready yet. There he is.
How we doing, guys?
Hey, buddy.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
That's amazing.
Thanks for breaking the show.
Last day in Studio H.
Probably forever. Braggs, what did you make of all this Nate Davis stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to speculate what's going on personally with him, and it could be anything, right? So you got to be careful about how hard you criticize what he's been doing. I mean, I think just from a football standpoint, I think it would make the most sense if he was just saying, hey, I'm taking the veteran way and I'm not going to go too hard here at camp and preseason, and I'll be ready week 1. But if it's something more serious than that, then that's understandable. I see people speculating on Twitter like, oh, well, he saw how Carter played and that got him ready to get his pads back on today. Maybe, but we also don't know what's going on in the background,
Yeah, it's a little bit different, but it's sort of similar. It's just like, remember Tevin Jenkins in training camp last year?
Mm-hmm.
Where it was just like, what's really going on here? And then he turned out to play most of the season, and he was good while he was out there. And I have this suspicion that Nate Davis is going to be just fine once he gets out there. But, I heard what we heard from Ryan Poles, like towards the end of camp, actually, sort of acknowledge some of the stuff with Tevin and admit that maybe his own communication wasn't great through all. So like we learned later there was more to that story, as it was just sort of cryptic as we were going through it. And maybe that's the case with Nate Davis. Maybe it's not, but hopefully he gets out there and, like Tevin Jenkins, plays well, because the reality is, this is a $30 million contract he signed.
Right.
This isn't for a guard. This was legitimate money. Basically averages out to $10 million a year. And this is somebody that they need to play and play well. Think about how we viewed this offensive line, how so many people viewed this offensive line going into the offseason. And this was the big acquisition to fix that.
Yeah, I completely. Yeah, I get it. It's an integral part of this offensive line, and it's been hurting all camp that he's not there. So, for them to, let him have this, it's not helping Justin Fields' cause, right? So that's the other aspect of it too. Is it's hurting reps at camp. Continuity on the offensive line is going to be key for this team, and if the more reps he can get, the better. So you hope that he's out there in Indianapolis, and you hope, for the joint practices, and you hope he's out there for the preseason game.
Yeah. But again, that's up to the coaches and trainers. We'll just have to find out to see what their plan for him is. And again, I have a suspicion that once the season comes around, it'll be all right. Meanwhile, Ja'Tyre Carter is getting valuable reps. I thought he played pretty well on Saturday. And so that's always the upside, or the bright side, I should say, right? The silver lining when somebody's out missing this much practice time is sometimes you get a young guy emerge. And actually, the one answer that Nate Davis did give today that seemed like a legitimate answer to some of the questions was when Carter's name came up. And he was like, that dude's awesome, man. And he's been playing well. And so I guess you can at least feel good about that.
Yeah, I mean, he was way down the field on one of those screen passes. I kind of get the two confused because they were so similar. But
that was the Herbert one where he got involved in that. Yeah,
he was the furthest one downfield, you know. And when you talk about somebody putting the super chat about these guys flying around and his philosophy, that was put on full display right there with Ja'Tyre Carter. So, you know, we talked a lot about all these different things that had translated from what we saw at training camp to the game, but that was the one thing that I think was different of the preseason game. We hadn't seen this offensive line play as well as it has up until that preseason game. That training camp, they've been getting beat quite a bit. So to see all these guys across the board play as well as they did was a great step in the right direction and something different than what we've seen from camp.
By the way, CHGO Bears training camp coverage is brought to you by the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program. Learn more at comed.com/powerinbiz. Now, I saw this question come up a little bit on social media, and sometimes the answer is just as simple as the money, and it is. But the idea that does Nate Davis need to be worried by the fact that Ja'Tyre Carter is playing well? $30 million contract. I think almost $20 million of it's guaranteed. The guy's going to play. He's going to be on the field if he's healthy. But let's also not forget that Carter is a Ryan Poles draft pick and somebody that they, you know, especially Poles being an offensive lineman, is probably going to take pride in developing. So at the very least, I think maybe you're starting to see some same thing we were talking about the defensive ends earlier. Some maybe unexpected depth start to emerge here in training camp that I think is encouraging. Yeah,
absolutely. It's definitely encouraging. And like I said, like you said, he's a Ryan Poles guy. They've put him in when Tevin's been hurt. They put him in here with Nate Davis been out. So he's obviously their swing guard. You got a guy that's a swing center between Cody and Lucas Patrick being interchangeable in that regard. So you've got a little bit of quality depth there when it comes to those guys. So that's a really good thing.
What have you seen from Ja'Tyre Carter?
Good. He's on the field. He's on the field, you guys. So, I mean, I think for a guy, a late round draft pick last season, and to come in here with the first team and you're not calling out Carter is like the issue here. And, you know, he got downfield on the Khalil Herbert screen pass that went for a deep touchdown. So you're seeing him get to his landmarks and, you know, again, just really make the most of his opportunity developing as a later round draft pick. That's always great to see.
Yeah. All right. Well, meanwhile, the other thing I wanted to talk about just from practice today, everybody's fan favorite, Roschon Johnson, got some reps with the ones today. Now, I don't want to overblow this too much. Treston Ebner has gotten some reps here and there with the ones too during camp, and he was not out there today. So I think it's probably as simple as that, but it still says something that he was in there. I have wondered, like when somebody asks me, who's going to be, as much as your guy brags, David Montgomery, the one thing that even you have to give him credit for was when you needed the yards and tight spaces, he was usually get it for you, right?
Yes, I'll give him some credit.
Okay, so who's going to be that guy for the Bears? And I think it's a fair question. And I don't know if it's going to be Roschon Johnson or not, but I think he's got a chance to sort of carve out that niche as the guy who's going to pick up what I like to call the dirty yards when you just you need 1.5 on one. You know, you need to pick up 3 when it's 3rd and 2. And so maybe his yards per carry doesn't end up being as high as Khalil Herbert's, but you're still moving the chains, and that's what you want to see. So just thought it was interesting that at least in today's practice, he got some of those opportunities, encouraging for the rookie.
Yeah, and I think there was I can't remember exactly what practice it was, you guys, but it was recently where he did get a chance with the ones. It was a short line to gain situation, picks up the first down. And if he's running like he did in the preseason where he's running over guys and getting to the second level, like the Bears coaching staff's going to have to look at him as an option, just that physical presence. And if, pass blocking is also going to be, I think, one of his strengths as he keeps developing as a running back. So, yeah, Roschon Johnson, maybe he can carve out a role early on as being that third down, get that yardage type of back. But as he continues to learn this offense, get the trust of Getsy, Justin Fields, and the rest of that coaching staff, you might be end up seeing a little bit more of number 30 out there. So, and I think would be a good thing for this offense.
Yeah, and you see Eric Forsell in the chat saying a lot of it comes up to his blocking ability to me. And I brought it up a couple times here in the last week, but Tom Thayer had this clip they put on social media where he said that Roschon Johnson's one of the best blocking running backs he's ever seen come out of college. And I don't think Tom Thayer lives in the world of hyperbole like Meatball Braggs does. Like I think he legitimately feels that way. And if that's the case, and we all know he had that reputation coming out of college, but if that's the case, that's going to vault him, because we all know Khalil Herbert's going to be the lead running back week 1. But I think the more interesting question is who's going to be the lead running back in December, and Roschon is the type of guy that if he can play to what his potential could be from what we're seeing, he's the type of guy that could wear a defense down, and he's just one of those tough runners. I mean, even the 20-yard run, it's not like a 20-yard scamper. He got skinny through a hole and went through like 6-7 guys. And granted, it was third string, second string, however you want to phrase it, but it's very, very promising. And then he's exhibiting good hands and the maturity. We talk about his character. The one day he dropped a pass, the next day he was the first player on the field. It's normally Elijah Hicks. And that day it was Roschon Johnson, because the next day he realized I got to get better at this. So he just kind of shows all these things that were hyped up about him when we drafted him.
Yeah, I think he's an extremely intriguing player, and obviously this is the time to get a good look at him, right? The preseason. So we'll see if his reps go up this week. Maybe he'll get more against the ones versus ones, and if he does, he'll be going up against a different team. So it'll be a good test for him down in Indy. Braggs, you're welcome to stick around if you want. Just going to take some of our final super chats, and I have a couple other things here from today to get to. But CHGO is supported by Goose Island Beer Company. We love Goose Island, Chicago's beer since 1988. Goose IPA, 6-time medal winner at the Great American Beer Fest. Always in style, citrus aroma, bold hop finish. They got the tropical beer hug, dry hopped Imperial IPA, 9.9% alcohol in that one. 312 wheat ale. Nick's rocking the. That was a great choice by you today. The Goose Island windbreaker with the rain.
Yeah, it came in handy today because it was raining. And Goose Island's got my back, and obviously has it should be your beverage of choice when you're looking for something to drink.
I love the full pocket Pilsner. Been drinking it all summer. Grab ultra fresh brewer exclusive beers at Goose Island's original brew house on Clybourne Avenue in Lincoln Park, or from their tap room on Fulton Street in Westtown. Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer.
Go check out Goose Island, you guys. And of course, we are really excited to also partner with our friends at Circle K. You can check out your local Circle K for the best coffee, beer, and snack selection, and of course, premium gas. And always look out for those freebies and giveaways down the road. Circle K always has you covered with those types of things. And again, if you're going on a road trip, or if you're going to Indy, like the CHGO Bears crew will be doing in a couple days, of course, we're going to stop by our Circle K to get our favorite snacks. They also have the best deals you ever gotten, and they're going to have those go-to pickups. For me, it's probably a couple of energy drinks and probably some beef jerky or something like that. And of course, I'm going to go to Circle K to do that. But again, we just want to say thanks to Circle K for sponsoring CHGO. You can visit the nearest Circle K to pick up all your favorite finds.
And with the indoor practice today, we did not need our shady rays. A lot of rain today, but going down to Indy definitely will. Looked at the weather forecast. Shady Rays going to get us through these practices in Indianapolis. You want to take on the sun with gear built to last. That's what Shady Rays does. They have you covered for this warm weather with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company offering a world-class product just as good as any expensive pair that we've worn. Durable frames, extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures, and that's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they will send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after you purchase. Exclusive for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com, use code CHGO for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people.
Greg, you were looking good in those Shady Rays over there. Could have put you up for the billboard. That's exactly how you wanted to look representing those Shady Rays there.
Thank you. And if I left my black Shady Rays at your house had them, just let me know because I'm looking for them.
Oh, I did not. I have not seen any.
I'm not seeing.
Are they just black on black?
Yeah, the new ones I got. They're probably here somewhere. I'll find them. And if I can't find them, Shady Rays is going to replace them. That's the beautiful thing about Shady Rays.
That's what they do. That's what they do. All right. Okay, I want to talk about Andrew Billings' nickname. I don't know if we still have that tweet that we can pop up that I shared earlier, but whether we can or not, I did not know. Good pickup by you in the middle of practice, Nick. Yeah, there it is. That's so. Nick heard somebody, David Overstreet, the defensive backs coach, call him Juggernaut. Andrew Billings, Juggernaut. And that is his nickname. And I just wanted to point out here that if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the photo that Nick posted here of Andrew Billings. And if there was a human being named Juggernaut that looked at me that way, I would just run away.
Absolutely. And it's a perfect nickname, too. If you watch X-Men, the Juggernaut's this gigantic human being who has super strength, and you can't really defeat him. And Andrew Billings, I asked him, like, do you like that nickname? And he said, the way I see it, a nose guard in a defense, no matter if it's a pure read or, attack, you're in the middle of the defense. You got to hold it down no matter what. That A-gap has to be there, and nothing come through. Well, that's basically the Juggernaut. If you ever watch X-Men, nothing can go through him. And Andrew Billings in today's practice, he was getting low and driving back some of the opposing offensive linemen. So I think it's a really fitting nickname.
I love it. They're doing pretty good with the nicknames.
Spider-Man, Marvel. There's a Marvel kind of
Spider-Man, Juggernaut, but then the Mako Shark for.
Oh yeah, that's right.
For Jaquan Brisker.
That's right. I'm liking the nicknames though.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was because the Flus gave Gordon his nickname. I wonder who gave the Juggernaut to.
That's the thing about nicknames. They got to be natural. You can't force them.
No.
Juggernaut's great.
Yes.
I love that.
Juggernaut's a good one.
Andrew Billings. I've been high on him since they drafted him. I love it. I did have to laugh, though, because wasn't it Flus last week that gave him credit for how much he's changed his body?
Yes.
And then he got asked about that today and then pushed on how much weight he's actually lost. And he was like, 4 pounds.
He's like, it makes a difference. Though,
it makes a difference.
Yeah, but hey, he needs to be that big. He's just built different from him and who is it? Bell. Or the 7th round draft pick. I don't know why I'm like forgetting.
Oh, Travis Bell?
Travis Bell. Yeah. They're kind of built very similarly, more horizontal, and you need to have those guys that are just going to fill those gaps and drive opposing offensive linemen back. But good for Andrew Billings working on his body and driving out low and being able to push offensive linemen back. All
right. I know we have at least one more super chat to throw up here. It's a good question. Richard, $5 CHGO fan meetup in Indy. Love the idea. Here's the problem with Indy. The practices are at night. So
we've been out late.
Yeah.
I've been out late in Indy before there, Adam.
So you could find Nick and Braggs out at Prime 47 until 3 a.m. No. Because we're not actually staying in Indy either because everything's out.
It's true.
In that town called Westfield. Richard, love the idea though. We'll put our heads together, see if we can figure out something.
We know Carm will meet him anywhere. Richard, just at Carm, and you'll find he'll meet you up.
He'll probably drive. He'll drive to your house probably and just knock on the door.
Nick will say he will, but then he won't because Bears and Kawhi, that whole thing. But
facts.
I'm sure Carm would.
That's a good point. Yeah. But we love it, and usually on the road we try to find a way to mute. But or just say this too: at practices we could probably definitely find you and say hello.
sure.
That's probably the easiest place to do it. I see Lucas Patrick being brought up in the comments a lot here, and totally understand it. But the reality is, Lucas Patrick was not signed to the same amount of money as Nate Davis, and for whoever it is in there saying, why don't we talk about Lucas Patrick like we're talking about Nate Davis? Well, that's one reason, but also we did talk about Lucas Patrick all last year when it was the same situation when he wasn't out there and he was struggling to be on the field. Like, we did do all that, and now they've literally already signed his replacement because Lucas Patrick was moved to a backup role.
Yeah.
And now that guy's hurt too. So I totally understand Lucas Patrick. It's been an issue. He hasn't been practicing either. And he's, quite frankly, in that conversation we were just bringing up with Tyree Carter, pushing a little bit. Like, it would be Lucas Patrick who should maybe be worried about that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, the guy can't get on the field. He hasn't practiced, and he was supposed to be your center, and now he's playing an entirely new position than what he was brought here to do. So, I don't know. For Lucas Patrick, like, you look back at some of the signings, and maybe it's too early, but that one's not panning out the way that I think Ryan Poles and the Bears coaching staff envisioned when they signed him.
Right. All right. Anyway, for a Monday where it was raining and the weather wasn't great, still an interesting day, and glad we were able to bring you what we could from today's. I had a nice conversation too with Yannick Ngakoue about coffee.
And how'd that go?
It was good. I introduced him to Cafecito.
Oh,
Not that it's available in the House Hall Media Room, but I was just telling him it's a
good way to go.
If you want that real boot. So a few years ago when the Super Bowl was in Miami, there was like, usually the host committee will have like the local whatever, like travel, visitflorida.com or whatever it is, right? Like, we'll be there. Like, I think anyway, they're usually giving out like pastries and coffee or whatever to the media there, and they had espresso. And like, when you want to get through those days of Radio Row, you lived it last year. You need some boost like that. We had coffee this year, this past year in Arizona. They had some available too. But this was, okay, I'll take an espresso because I like drinking espresso. It's actually what I drink when I wake up instead of coffee. And I took a sip and I was like, whoa. Like, is it what else is in here? Because this is more than just espresso. And it's Cuban espresso, which they also call cafecito. It's got a lot of sugar in it too. And that's why it tastes so damn good. But you also you almost feel like jittery after you take it. You're like ready to run through a wall doing Radio Row stuff.
Like
so
a juggernaut. Okay.
Right.
I
so,
like that. I like that. I'll have to try it.
I don't know if Yannick Ngakoue is a pregame coffee guy, but maybe he goes with the cafecito. 5 sacks guaranteed.
The chop block move is going to be even more effective when he drinks that.
Exactly. I like Yannick Ngakoue.
So do I. He's a cool. I think he's just a cool dude. Like, if you just listen to him talk, like, he's got those cool man vibes.
Definitely veteran confidence.
Yes. Yeah.
And he knows his history. Like, just some of he was referencing like Warren Sapp today for
the inside guys that can do some of those inside moves. Yeah. No, he's a football historian.
Well versed in football. I think he was in a Hoge Bears mock draft when he came out of Maryland.
Oh,
I have to go back and look. I really liked him coming out. I remember that. So all these years later, he's back. He is on the Bears finally. All right. Let's see here. A couple more super chats, at least one more. Then we'll get out of here. And yes, we do have something to promote. Zach, $4.99 super chat. Nick made a comment on Saturday about what they served at Hallis.
I had the last aluminum foil wrapped hot dog in the press box when I went up to go get it. It was literally just a sad hot dog, you guys. And I brought my lunch, and I forgot they don't have a microwave. So
it was a sad hot dog. Oh, so you brought a lunch and they didn't have a microwave.
And so I ate my lunch cold, and they had a sad hot dog. So Indy, we're going to be in Indy this weekend.
Yeah, but Indy's where the hot dog laden press box is, according to John Fox. This predates you.
Oh, okay.
But he was ripping in his way of always subtly showing disrespect for reporters. Was saying that all we do is sit up there and eat hot dogs.
Okay. Not from Soldier Field.
Yeah. So the hot dog laden press box. Bear Truth 9, any thoughts on Bryce Young's first outing? Haven't caught up on it quite yet.
Same.
Yeah, sorry. I saw a little bit of CJ Stroud. I saw all of Jordan Love, which we talked about the other day. He was fine. Definitely missed a wide open 3rd and 7 that he's got to hit.
Trey Lance, I watched a little bit of.
I heard that was bad. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it was. There was definitely he should have been picked off a couple times, but Trey Lance.
All right. Real quick, for anybody who's not going to be in Indy, Cubs Sox this week at Wrigley, and we have a Crosstown Series takeover. There are still tickets available to this. We did this at the White Sox game a couple weeks ago with when the Cubs played the White Sox at I almost called it U.S. Cellular Field, Guaranteed Rate Field. I forgot what it was called because I haven't been there all year.
Same.
Because why would I? But those that did go to it, they had a great time. I know it was really hot that night, but the pictures and the video looked awesome. Well, we're doing it again, running it back Wednesday night, 7:05. There are still some tickets available for this, so go to allchgo.com, find our events page. You can still get tickets for it. There's a few tickets left. They're going fast, though, so make sure if you want to hang out with our CHGO crew, it's way more than just our baseball guys. The only reason we usually have some of our football guys there, too, but we're going to be down in Indy. That's the only reason we won't be, but jump on the train, go enjoy some baseball at Wrigley on Wednesday night. And also we have our golf outing still coming up. This is very important because we were told this morning that all sales for the golf outing will close Friday. So this coming Friday is when we have to wrap up our sales, like make sure the golf course knows how many people are going to be there. But CHGO Kickoff Classic, it's coming up Friday, August 25th. It's under 2 weeks away. Really excited about it. 9 a.m. shotgun start. This is at Cog Hill, number 2, which I've never played Cog Hill. I am really excited about it. And everybody who signs up and joins us will have an opportunity to get one of those CHGO Pins and Aces shirts as well. Those will be available for purchase, and those look amazing. So come join us. Come play golf with us. Come watch Greg Breggs Jr. shoot over 100.
Hi, Greg.
Which technically you can't do because I believe it's a scramble.
Exactly.
But you'll still manage to do it.
Find out about me on Thursday.
Yeah. I hope.
But the scramble, I got a good crew with me, so they're going to pick me up.
Yeah, there's some rain in the forecast Thursday, so I'm a little
Don't
nervous.
say the R word. Or the rain word.
It's R wording outside right now.
Yes.
As we talk.
Definitely is.
All right, guys. Again, apologies for the technical difficulties at the beginning. It was definitely all of Greg Breggs' fault. And if it's not his fault, it was Carm's fault. And it probably was none of their faults. We still don't really know what happened. But, hey, technology. It's that guy's fault. It is that guy's fault. Look at that guy. He's so upset he's not here.
Softball just got canceled, so maybe that's the face. But
he wasn't going to be at softball anyway.
Yeah, but he lives and breathes the softball, and he was hoping our CHGO would go out and get a victory without him. But
Carm sabotaged the show. That's what I think. That's what I'm rolling with.
I think it happened.
For some reason, he was still on our morning meeting today, even though he was at camp.
Dedication.
That's where he is. He's at camp.
At the Carm.
He goes to camp. Hey, give us a like. Appreciate you being here. Hit subscribe. Send the show to a friend. Appreciate you guys. We want to keep building this channel up. So as many new subscribers as you guys can help us get helps us grow the show. And I'll just quickly say as we close out here, I was blown away by the support over the weekend for a preseason game. Thank you so much. The views were off the charts. You guys were great. The interaction as we broke the game down, both pregame and postgame. And we'll do it all again this week from Indy as well. Tomorrow, no show. We are off. We're heading down Wednesday morning for practices. We will be there Wednesday, Thursday. They are night practices, so those shows will be late night. Late night edition of CHGO Bears, wrapping it all up for you with those joint practices, and then we'll preview the game and give you all the coverage to pre and post for Bears Colts this week.
And of course, are we doing bad tomorrow? Is that happening? Where's Breggs?
Oh yeah, that is happening.
Breggs? Oh,
Bad After Dark.
sorry.
It's happening.
Better.
Braggs'
the
head
logo
is
over my
coming out
face. Yes, we will have
of a water cooler.
we'll have the Bears After Dark tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central. Will DeWitt will be joining me to talk some Bears, maybe get Will's thoughts on the preseason game and looking ahead to the joint practices. Have a little fun.
I'm excited to see Will in Indy.
Yeah, we're gonna see Will in Indy because he lives down there. So Will's gonna be part of the crew this week.
And you know what else I'm gonna do for all the people that are in the chat right now? The first 2 people that DM me on Twitter, I have 1 ticket for each of you to go to the Wednesday practice in Indianapolis if you're able to make it. So if you're able to make it and you want to go Wednesday night, I have 2 individual. I'm going to give 2. Instead of giving 2 to 1 person, I'm going to give 1 to 2 people. Spread the love a little bit. There you go.
All right. And that's a DM on Twitter at Brags Jr. Go. 23.
You got to come on my Twitter spaces and be up till 2 a.m. with us. No, I'm kidding. Just DM me.
Sounds terrible. Brags, we love you. Appreciate you. Lawrence, thanks for saving the day today. You're
Okay.
At CHGO _Bears on Twitter. Follow us. Find us at Nicholas Moreano for him, at Adam Hoge for me. Again, off tomorrow. We're back Wednesday from Indianapolis, late Wednesday night. Cannot wait. It's going to be a fun week. Talk to you then.